Hi there, and welcome to this lesson on Pure Mathematics 2. In this lesson, we're on Chapter 4, 4.3, and we'll be looking at an introduction to what's called the binomial expansion. Now, the binomial expansion is for where you have two things inside a bracket. That's where the bi comes from. So A and B are the two things, and then you've got that bracket to some power. And the binomial expansion gives you a very quick way for working out what any individual term would be if you multiplied out all of those brackets. And it's worth seeing the pattern that you get in the binomial expansion. The very first term would be a to the power of n. So whatever this is, to the power of n. And that's really where you're choosing this term from all n brackets when you multiply the brackets out. And you'll only get that once. The next term, the power of a goes down by 1, so it goes down to n minus 1, and the power of b starts creeping in now. And here we've got a power b to the power of 1. Strictly speaking, here you'd have b to the power of 0, but we don't need to write it down for the first term. And then NC1 will be the coefficient that you, or part of the coefficient that you'll need to calculate for that term. The next term, you'll have NC2, and the 2 you'll notice it goes with the b term, so we've got b squared, and the 2 will always correspond with that. The next term you'd have 3 here and b cubed. The power of a goes down by 1, so it goes down to n minus 2. And then that pattern follows. So the next term would be NC3. You'd have a to the power of n minus 3, b cubed. The next term would be NC4, a to the power of n minus 4, b to the power of 4, and so on and so on. This is the general term, and it's what's often used as a formula for working out any specific term. So the general term is NCR, and that's where we're taking b to the power of r and a to the power of n minus r. One thing that's worth noting with these two powers, if you add these two powers together, you'll always get n. So n minus 1 plus 1 will give you n. n minus 2 plus 2 would give you n. The next term would be n minus 3 and 3. Add those together, you'd get n. And here in general, n minus r plus r, that gives you n. It's a useful check for making sure you've got the powers right. Now, how does it get used in practice? So example 1, use the binomial expansion to find the x squared term in the expansion of 3 minus 2x to the 5. Now, I'll talk you through the beginning of this and then let you finish it off. There are 3 parts, and you just need to understand where all those 3 parts come from. So the general term, NCR, a to the n minus r, b to the r, is what we've written here. And then we've just substituted in everything that's relevant for the question they've asked us. And it's probably easiest to start at the end with the b term. So the b term is the minus 2x term. The minus does matter. You have to include it in your answer. So b to the power of r, that's minus 2x, to the power of 2. The reason why it's power of 2 is because they've asked for the x squared term. So the 2 there is going with that. And if we squared that bracket, we'd get x squared. So we get an x squared term. Moving backwards, the first term, the a term, is 3. So we've got 3 here. The power is n minus r, which is 5 minus 2. 5 because that's the power of the bracket there, and 2 because it's the x squared term we were trying to find. And it's the 2 there, so you've got 5 minus 2. 2 is what r would equal. And you'd notice 5 minus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5. When we add these 2 powers together, we should always get the main power for the bracket that we're considering. And also on the front here, part of the coefficient will be given by 5 choose 2. The reason for that is we're choosing minus 2x from 2 of the brackets, and there are 5 brackets in total. So 5 choose 2 gives us the total number of different ways of doing that, choosing the minus 2x from 2 of the brackets and then the 3 from the other brackets. Okay, from here on, it's really just putting in the numbers, simplifying things until you get to the answer. I'll let you have a go at doing that. So pause the video, press on from this point, and then come back to me when you're ready. Okay, just have a look at how all of this works out. So 5 minus 2 gives us the power of 3 here. If I choose 2, you could do it on your calculator, or you could do it using Pascal's triangle. Either way, you'll get 10 for the answer. 3 cubed is 27. We've got minus 2x squared here. Do be careful with this. So minus 2 squared gives us plus 4, and x squared is just x squared. And then the last thing we're going to need to do is multiply these three numbers together. And that gives us 1080 x squared. And that's saying if we multiplied out these 5 brackets, collected together all the terms, in total, there'd be 1080 x squared. Okay, the last example is very similar. It's a little bit harder because of the number we've got here, minus a half, but exactly the same idea. So we're asked to use the binomial expansion to find the x cubed term in the expansion of 2 minus a half x to the power of 10. So a will be 2, b will be minus a half x, n is equal to 10, and r will equal 3, because it's the x cubed term that we're trying to find. Okay, I'll let you have a go at working your way through all of that. So pause the video, have a go at doing this, and then come back to me when you're ready. Okay, let's have a look. So that's the general term in the binomial expansion. And as we said before, it's made up of 3 parts. You just need to understand where each of those 3 parts comes from. I think it's easier to start at the far end. So we've got minus a half x to the power of 3, minus a half x because that's b, it's the second term in the brackets, power of 3 because it's the x cubed term we've been asked to find. And then moving back, a is equal to 2 in this case, 2 to the power of 7, and that's because 7 would be equal to 10 minus 3, which gives us the 7. And you'll notice if we add the 7 and 3 together, we get 10. That is always the case. That's the whole power for the expansion of the brackets. And then at the front, we've got 10 choose 3, NCR, 10 because we're doing the bracket to the power of 10, 3 because it's the x cubed term, and we're choosing minus a half x from 3 of the brackets. And this is really saying, if we had all of those 10 brackets multiplied out together, how many different ways could we choose this minus a half x from 3 of the brackets, and then the 2 from the other 7 brackets? 10C3 on the calculator, that should give you 120. Haven't done anything else yet. 2 to the power of 7 is 128. And then this minus a half x cubed. So minus a half cubed will be minus 1/8, and x cubed is just x cubed. All we need to do now is multiply those numbers together, and that gives us minus 1920 x cubed. So if we wrote down these 10 brackets, multiplied them all together, collected the terms, we'd get minus 1920 x cubed. Okay, that gets us to the end of this lesson. If you've got the textbook, then turn to page 68 and have a go at exercise 4C. Thank you very much for listening, and cheerio.